I've been a district attorney in a large German city for over a decade now. Over the years, I've prosecuted countless criminals, from petty thieves to dangerous gang members. My reputation precedes me, and I've made quite a few enemies along the way. Given the nature of my work, I've always been cautious about my personal safety. That's why I invested in a high-end car with top-notch security features, including a panic button that directly alerts the police of my location in case of an emergency. Little did I know how crucial this feature would become one fateful evening. It was a typical Tuesday, and I was driving home after a long day at the office. The sun had already set, and the streets were quieter than usual. As I turned onto a less busy road, my instincts suddenly kicked into high gear. Two young men appeared out of nowhere, jumping in front of my car and forcing me to slam on the brakes. My heart raced as I came to a screeching halt. My mind immediately went to the worst-case scenario. Was this a revenge attack? Had someone I prosecuted sent these thugs after me? Without hesitation, I pressed the panic button, silently alerting the police of my situation. The two boys, who couldn't have been older than 17, started shouting at me. They accused me of being a maniac and almost killing them. One of them even questioned if I was drunk. I was momentarily stunned by their accusations. Before I could respond, three more young men ran up to the scene, joining in on the commotion. They yelled that they had seen everything and that I was in big trouble. One threatened to call the police, saying I could say goodbye to my license. The last one, who seemed to be the leader, suggested that maybe we could work something out. The leader approached my car window with a sinister grin. He proposed that if I gave them all the money I had on me, they would forget the incident ever happened. In that moment, I realized what was really going on. These weren't assassins sent to kill me. They were just a group of young thugs trying to scam me. Knowing that the police were already on their way, I decided to turn the tables on them. I agreed to give them the money, but with one condition. When they asked what it was, I explained that we needed to write up a quick agreement stating that I'm paying them this money and that they won't press charges or call the police. I claimed it was just to protect myself. To my surprise and amusement, they agreed. I quickly scribbled out a makeshift contract on a piece of paper from my briefcase, detailing their attempted extortion and our agreement. One by one, these 5 idiots signed the paper with their real names. As soon as they handed the paper back to me, their demeanor changed. The leader demanded that I hand over the cash immediately, addressing me as old man. I explained to them that they had just given me written proof of their attempted extortion and that no one would believe their story now. Their faces dropped as the reality of the situation began to sink in. But before they could react, police sirens filled the air. Squad cars appeared from every direction, surrounding us in seconds. One of them, in a moment of desperation, grabbed the incriminating paper from my hands and tried to tear it up. Little did he know this action would only make things worse for them. As the police apprehended the group, 2 of them managed to slip away in the chaos. But their escape was short-lived. Thanks to their signatures on the contract, the police quickly identified and arrested them as well. The 2 oldest members of the group, including the mastermind, received 6-year sentences in adult prison due to their prior criminal records. 2 others were sentenced to 3 years in juvenile detention. The youngest and least involved member got off with community service. Seriously, guys, crime doesn't pay, especially when you're dealing with someone who knows the law inside and out. When I turned 18 just before my senior year of high school, and after years of saving up my babysitting money, I finally bought my first car. My mom had always been against me getting one earlier, so this felt like my big act of rebellion. Life was good for a couple of months until my aunt suddenly left her job several states away and moved in with us. She didn't bring her car, claiming it was cheaper to wait 6 months until spring to ship it. Little did I know, this decision would turn my life upside down. My aunt was, to put it mildly, a piece of work. She was cheap, manipulative, and had a knack for stirring up drama. Somehow, it was decided that I had to share my newly acquired car with her until hers arrived. The deal was that she could use it for appointments and job interviews since I could take the school bus. I just needed advance warning because my bus stop was one of the first on the route. Now, you might be wondering what this has to do with an alarm clock. Well, my aunt's room shared a wall with mine, and she quickly started complaining about my alarm waking her up every morning. Mind you, she was unemployed and had nowhere to be, but apparently, my need to get to school on time was a major inconvenience for her. Our morning schedule went something like this. At 5:30, my workaholic mom leaves for the office. At 5:45, my alarm goes off if I'm taking the bus to school. At 6:15, my alarm goes off if I'm driving to school. At 6:15, I leave if taking the bus. At 6:45, I leave if driving. Half past never. My aunt needs to be anywhere. My aunt went to my mom about this horrific inconvenience of my alarm clock. Her brilliant solution was to suggest that my mom should wake me up at 5:30 a.m. before leaving. My mom, being conflict avoidant, simply told her to use earplugs or work it out with me. That's when things got weird. My aunt started sneaking into my room at night to unplug my clock. I'm a heavy sleeper, so she got away with it a few times. I racked up quite a few tardies before I figured out what was happening. One night, I woke up to see her standing over my bed. It was creepy as hell. I screamed, waking up the whole house. She made up an excuse about sleepwalking, and my mom actually believed her lame story. I tried to solve the problem by supergluing the clock to the outlet. Not my brightest move, I'll admit. When that didn't work, I started sleeping with the alarm clock tucked behind my pillow. My aunt, furious at not getting her way, changed tactics. She'd race to the only bathroom with a shower as soon as my alarm went off. She'd hog it until right around 6:20 a.m., ensuring I'd miss the school bus. Then, while I was taking a rushed shower, she'd steal my car keys and take off for the day. When confronted, she'd make up excuses about me not paying attention when she supposedly told me she needed the car. She never actually told me, of course. She'd make snide remarks about having just as much right to the bathroom as I did if she was woken up. According to her, the solution was simple. I shouldn't wake her up. To make matters worse, she'd take my car on evenings and weekends. Always, right before my babysitting gigs. The car never returned with more than fumes in the gas tank. She even had to call roadside assistance twice for running out of gas. I was furious and losing money fast. I started keeping my keys on me at all times, even in the shower. Yes, it was that bad. She'd actually come into the bathroom while I was showering to take them. Eventually, she asked to borrow my car for a job interview that probably wasn't real. What she actually did was get my car keys copied. The next day, I came out to find my car gone. When I confronted her, she smugly admitted to copying the key. She insulted me, calling me selfish and saying I didn't know how to share. When I warned her there would be consequences, she just laughed in my face. The following morning, my car was gone again. This time, I was prepared. I called my best friend's dad, who happened to be a cop. I told him my car had been stolen from my driveway. What I didn't tell my aunt was that my car had low jack installed. By mid-afternoon, they found my car in an outlet mall parking lot. I don't know exactly what went down, but apparently, my aunt threw a massive fit when confronted by the police. It ended with her being charged with grand theft auto, resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, and some license-related offense because she hadn't switched to her new state of residence. She couldn't make bail, and I deleted her voicemail where she begged my mom to come get her out. My workaholic mom didn't even notice she was gone for almost a week. When she finally did, I explained that my car had been stolen, and I called the cops. I told her I was handling the situation myself, just like she suggested. She shrugged and went back to avoiding confrontation. My aunt ended up serving 2 weeks in county lockup before taking a plea deal. All her savings went to fines and court fees. She finally shipped her car and started job hunting, but there was a problem. She used to be a teacher, but now she couldn't pass the background check due to her new rap sheet. Oops! Time for a new career as a telemarketer. After that, my aunt didn't bother me much. We spent the next few months ignoring each other before I left for college. And that's how a dispute over an alarm clock ended my entitled aunt's teaching career and gave me the sweetest revenge. I hadn't thought that the biggest obstacle I'd face when I started working wouldn't be the work itself, but the constant stream of bizarre policies coming from HR. At first, I tried to roll with it. Maybe this was just how the corporate world worked, right? But as time went on, it became clear that our HR person was, well, let's just say they had some unique ideas about workplace management. The latest fiasco? A new standardized testing system for all employees. Yeah, you heard that right. Not just for new hires, but for everyone. Even the folks who've been here since before I was born. It starts with a company-wide email. HR announced they were implementing a new standardized testing system to ensure our team maintains the highest standards of excellence. They explained that all staff members were required to complete tests in mathematics, language, logic, and industry-specific knowledge by Friday. According to HR, this would help identify areas for improvement and maintain our competitive edge. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for continuous improvement, but something about this didn't sit right with me or my co-workers. We started talking in the break room. I asked if this seemed fishy to anyone else. One co-worker agreed, questioning why we needed to test people who've been here for years. Another suggested they might be trying to get rid of some of the older employees who aren't great with computers. I mentioned Jim in accounting, noting that while he's slow with Excel, he's been the backbone of this company for decades. We decided to boycott the test. I mean, we had actual work to do, right? But then things escalated. HR sent another email stating that due to the lack of compliance with the new testing policy, all bonuses would be withheld until tests were completed. The chief executive officer backed them up, probably because he doesn't want to deal with the hassle. So, we were stuck. But then, I had an idea. I gathered my co-workers and proposed that if they want us to take these tests, we should all do them together. When a coworker asked what I meant, I explained that we have some brilliant minds here. I suggested that if we pool our knowledge, we can ace these tests and show HR how ridiculous this whole thing is. And that's exactly what we did. For 3 nights straight, we stayed after hours ordering pizza and working through the tests as a team. It was actually kind of fun in a weird way. We had our math whizzes handle those questions, the marketing team tackled the language portion, and we all pitched in for the industry-specific stuff. When the results came in, HR was in for a shock. They sent out a congratulatory email to all employees for completing the standardized tests. However, they noted some irregularities in the scoring, pointing out that everyone had scored 9-10 in every category. I responded by asking if that was a problem, reminding them that they wanted us to excel. HR stumbled over their words, clearly caught off guard. That's when we dropped our bombshell. I suggested that it was only fair for HR to take the test too, since they're an employee just like us. The HR person sputtered and tried to argue, but we had the chief executive officer on our side this time. He thought it was a great idea for company morale. Long story short, our HR guru didn't do so hot. They scored 5-10 in math and 4-10 in logic. Ouch. The chief executive officer called me into his office the next day. He mentioned that he thinks we might need to reassess our human resources department and asked if I had any thoughts on improving our hiring and evaluation processes. I told him that I actually had a few ideas. Looks like I might be getting that promotion after all. And as for our HR person, last I heard, they were enrolled in some actual human resources management courses. Sometimes a little taste of your own medicine is exactly what the doctor ordered. My grandma passed away a few months ago, and it hit us all hard. She was the glue that held our family together, always hosting big dinners and making sure everyone felt loved. I was especially close to her, spending weekends at her house and learning all her secret recipes. When the lawyer called us for the will reading, I didn't expect much. Grandma wasn't rich, but she had a few valuables and some savings. What I didn't expect was for my aunt to turn into a raging monster over it. The day of the will reading, we all gathered at the lawyer's office. My parents, my sister, and I sat on one side, while my aunt sat alone on the other. She kept glaring at us, which I thought was weird. The lawyer started reading, and everything seemed normal at first. Grandma left her house to my parents, her jewelry to my sister and me, and some money to each of us grandkids for college. Then came the surprise. Grandma had set aside a significant amount of money for animal shelters in her area. She always loved animals, and I thought it was a beautiful gesture, but my aunt didn't see it that way. My aunt suddenly demanded to know where the money was for her dog, calling it her precious baby. The lawyer apologized and explained that there was no specific mention of her dog in the will. My aunt became outraged, insisting that her mother loved her dog and must have forgotten to include him. I tried to reason with her, suggesting that Grandma had chosen to help many animals instead of singling out one. This only made my aunt angrier, and she yelled at me to shut up, claiming I didn't know anything and that her dog deserved the money. My parents tried to calm her down, but she stormed out of the office, slamming the door behind her. A week later, my parents and I went to Grandma's house to start sorting through her things. When we arrived, we found the front door wide open. Inside, it looked like a tornado had hit. Drawers were pulled out, furniture was overturned, and items were strewn everywhere. We heard noises coming from Grandma's bedroom and cautiously went to investigate. There was my aunt stuffing Grandma's valuables into a large bag. Her dog was with her, running around and knocking things over. I exclaimed in shock, asking my aunt what she was doing. She replied defiantly that she was taking what was rightfully hers and her dog's. My dad protested, telling her it was illegal to break in and steal things. My aunt argued back, claiming it wasn't stealing if it belonged to her, and that her mother would have wanted her and her precious pup to have these things. My mom tried to reason with her, suggesting we talk about it and figure something out. But my aunt refused, saying there was nothing to talk about and that she was taking her share since we had all gotten ours. She tried to push past us with her bag of stolen goods, but my dad blocked the doorway. That's when she completely lost it. She started screaming and threw a vase at my dad's head. He ducked, and it shattered against the wall. I announced that I was calling the police. My aunt dared me to do it, claiming they would see that she was in the right. I dialed emergency services while my parents tried to keep my aunt from leaving. She was yelling about how unfair everything was and how her dog deserved to be treated like family. It was surreal watching someone I'd known my whole life act like this. The police arrived quickly and the situation got even more chaotic. My aunt tried to claim that we were the ones stealing, but her story fell apart fast. The officers found her lock-picking tools in her purse and saw the damage she'd done to the house. A police officer informed my aunt that she was under arrest for breaking and entering, attempted theft, and assault. My aunt protested loudly, accusing me of lying and insisting that everything was hers. When they led her away in handcuffs, her dog started barking like crazy. One of the officers had to call animal control to come and get the poor thing. After she was gone, we all just stood there in shock. My mom started crying and my dad hugged her tight. My aunt was charged with multiple crimes. She tried to plead not guilty, claiming she was just collecting her inheritance. She ended up serving time in jail and was ordered to pay for the damages to Grandma's house. In a way, this whole experience has brought the rest of us closer together. We're fixed on honoring Grandma's memory the right way, by being kind and generous, just like she always was.